Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Good day, I'm Eoin Devereux, news and sports reporter with the Banner Press. I appreciate you taking a little bit of your time to spend with us. I'm joined this week by Kira Paterson, news reporter with the Banner Press. Kira, great to have you in this week.
Good to be here, sort of.
Well, you're just out of sorts because there's so much to talk about this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work.
There's going to be a lot of words this week, people. A few pretty pictures, but mainly words. But the pictures we do have are just off the charts. And let's start off with our special B section, our first Farmer's Advocate of 2021. We did 4 of these special features focusing on agriculture last year. They were very well received. We're very proud of what we were able to put together on that. So Ken Waddell has decided we're going to start doing more of them and every month. Yay. More work, but when you see the finished product, it almost kind of feels worth it, doesn't it, Kira?
Yeah, sort of, I guess.
Let's start off with the front page, though. Beautiful. We were a little concerned this might not have come out well, but looking at it, it really came out sharp. The picture, a scene of scenery.
That's not what it says.
Sorry, serenity.
I was going to say, I'm not that redundant.
A serenity of serenity, a scene of scene, a thing, pretty colors.
Yes,
yeah.
Pretty colors.
So, Kiro, talk to us about that. We got that sent in to us, right?
Yes, yeah. I actually am a little bit involved in the social media of Neepawa tourism, and so I'm always on the lookout for really nice pictures to share on there. And Tracy Ponsack, who took this picture, she shares loads of beautiful, like, old barn pictures, silo pictures, a lot of them at sunset. It's just beautiful. And so I thought, well, we don't really have anything for our front page of the Farmer's Advocate, so maybe I'll get in touch with her and see if she can send us some of her photos. And she did send a couple, and then she said, I'm also going over to Franklin to take some pictures of this beautiful barn at sunset on Friday, and I'll send those to you when I get them. And so we came in on Monday, and the email showed up with all the pictures, and we're like, yes, that's the one.
Yep.
This is the one we need. So it's just beautiful, like the golden colors, the light in there with the purple and kind of the pinky on the snow. It's just beautiful. And the barn, it's just crazy how much detail you can see in the barn. Like sometimes in newsprint, it's not quite as crisp as, say, on the screen, and but we're really impressed with how it ended up printing, because you can see like the little cracks of light coming through between the boards of the barn. It just looks amazing, and you have to see it for yourself. You have to pick one up in person to see it.
That's right. And what's wonderful about this new edition as well is we've got some very good content inside also. First off, I have to again thank Tracy. Some great pictures. And we're going to be probably using a few of those other ones in future editions of the Farmer's Advocate. They really, really they were very quite nice. We also have to thank Wayne Hildebrand. Wayne Hildebrand wrote us an article about grass-fed beef. We're very appreciative of that. Every Farmer's Advocate, we like to have sort of that keystone piece, that one article that just brings it all together. And quite honestly, us in the office, we were having a tough time trying to figure that out for the weeks leading up to it, because, it's February, and, I'm kind of a city guy, so I didn't know what to talk about in terms of agriculture, and Wayne really came through and saved our bacon, saved my bacon at least. And
saved our beef.
It saved our grass-fed beef, exactly, and really did a nice in-depth article about grass-fed and how it's taken off over the few years. You most likely, A&W restaurant seems to just pound the point home. Grass-fed, grass-fed, grass-fed. Everything to a degree is grass-fed, but they have really taken that ball and run with it. So Wayne did an in-depth exploration about what the concept and what the term actually means. So I thought it was great. I mean, really taught me a thing or two.
Yeah, and what makes it even better, we do, when we have kind of our central piece, we do like to have at least a local connection. And Wayne, he is a local guy, but he also interviewed a local farmer from the Langford area. And actually, I had done a story on his farm last year, because it was kind of a centennial farm. His family homesteaded the area and that kind of a thing. So it was more of a historic piece. And this is more about what Geron Davidson does on his farm and what other grass-fed beef operations might look like and that kind of a thing. So it's really cool to also get that local connection in there. I really appreciated that.
Yep. One other article I want to spotlight in terms of the Advocate. There's several articles, some submitted, some from organizations in Manitoba, detailing some of the things that are going on. But one other one I want to focus on, if you watched the show last week, you'll notice the permanent temporary host of Story Behind the Stories was not actually on the Story Behind the Stories. I took a couple days off yesterday, and everyone in the office appreciated the heck out of that. So I came in Monday expecting, okay, I'm going to talk about the Neepawa Natives Expo, because that event's coming up. That's one of my chases. I'm going to look after it. I come in Monday and I look through our folders for completed stories and all that. It's like, oh, all right, it's done. And Kira went and did it.
Yep.
Why don't you talk to us about the story you stole from me?
I jumped the gun on you. No, it's exciting because obviously a lot of things have been canceled this year, especially things happening early on in the year, like Egg Days and the Manitoba Winter Fair and all that kind of a thing. So it's really good to see one ag thing still happening, and it's happening in Neepawa, the Ag Expo, which is a fundraiser for the Neepawa Natives, the Yellowhead Center. This year it's also for the Curling Club in Neepawa. And basically it's a bunch of ag businesses and stuff come together at the Yellowhead Hall, and they have an expo. But obviously last year that couldn't happen because just before everything went to crap, and excuse my potty language. And
no, it's okay. We all live through the year. We know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so COVID put a wrench in that last year, but they were able to still go on and do a televised egg auction. They got all of their organizations that were going to be involved to donate an item, and they held an auction on TV, somewhat like the Rotary auction that we often have in Neepawa, and right here on NEC TV actually. And it went over so well, and there was so much uncertainty about in-person gatherings this year that they decided to do that again. So there's going to be another televised auction for the Neepawa Ag Expo this year, and it's going to be right here on NEC TV, I believe on April 1st. So
no fooling.
No. Yeah, you better watch out, because if you bid and then they say, oh no, you didn't get it, it might be a fool. So you better just check the next day, I guess.
And hopefully no April Fool's call coming in. I bid $2 million.
Yeah, true.
For this blanket, really?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
It's a nice blanket, but
But, I mean, okay, we'll take the money, sure.
Right. No, that was great, and it took a little bit off my plate, which I always appreciate.
Yeah.
So you can find that story as well in the Farmer's Advocate, and just a little aside on that as well, with the hockey team having to deal with the cancellation of the season. When the season was going on, they were only allowed 25% capacity, so fewer people than normal could get into the games. And you might think, well, they didn't play games, so they didn't have to spend money, so they're probably doing well. No, that's not the case, because you still have to take care of things like the sponsors. You have to look after their requirements. You have to look after all these other things. They were still putting money into potential rental of the ice. So, and quite honestly, you still have to pay the coaches and all that. So there's still money that was spent behind the scenes. Plus the fact that the Neepawa, soon to be something else, are changing their names. They're changing their logo, they're changing their name, they're changing their uniforms. That's not cheap as well. You just don't go down to Keener Jerseys down in Winnipeg and order up 25. You have to go through a whole thing. So they're doing that behind the scenes right now, and that costs time and money. So hopefully if you do watch the expo and you'll bid, and maybe bid an extra 10, an extra 20, an extra 50 for that, it would be greatly appreciated. Because again, for selfish reasons, I enjoy covering hockey. It's a lot more fun than town council. Sorry, town councilors, but it is true. We both know it. Hockey is more exciting than town council. And I'd like to continue to cover hockey for years to come. So in order to do that, we all got to sort of chip in and maybe cut a check. And hopefully you'll be able to do that on April 1st. And once again, the Farmer's Advocate, beautiful. A scene of serenity. I got it that time, right?
There you go.
Yep. Beautiful front page and some very important and interesting information inside as well. Let's shift over to the A section then, because you know what? We did pretty good in the A section as well, didn't we?
Not too shabby, I have to say.
I want to spotlight the front page. We've been getting a little more creative as of late with our front pages, changing up the fonts here and there, trying a couple different styles here and there. And this front page, the picture, the headline, the structure of it was a collaborative effort. It was my picture, it was my headline, but then Kira came in and said, hey, what if we do this? What if we tweak this? And then Diane Warner came in and said, hey, here's an idea, let's do this. And it really just sort of everything blended together perfectly for this front page. Sold again. And we're talking specifically about the lots on the CN property. As you heard a couple weeks ago, they were given back to the town from a developer who had signed a deal with them based out of Steinbach. The circumstances sort of came up, COVID related, obviously, you know, and they had to sort of put it out again for sale. And boy, did they get interest. And like that, 40 of the 46 available residential lots for the former CN property within 2 weeks sold, gone, done. We were talking about the 6 lots that are left. They're just all sort of in one corner. It's like, what's wrong with that corner?
Why doesn't anybody want to live there?
Are there ghosts there? Is there
Maybe.
some sort of, you know, strange spirits out there? What's going on? But no, it's wonderful that at a special meeting held last week, on the day I was off as well, so they sent me an email saying, there's this big important special meeting. You got to be there. And I wasn't there. And I'm going to throw my coworkers under the bus.
Yeah.
They forgot to check my emails.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I love the fact that it went over to you. It switched over to you
Just looked at
immediately
my
on
sad,
that.
guilty face.
It wasn't just Kira, everybody. I'm throwing everybody under the bus on this one. And it was like, oh no. But we got the story.
Yeah.
We got it in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
And we're very pleased to be able to share it with you.
Yeah. No, it was funny, just to add a little bit about that. Blake McCutcheon, the mayor, came in to talk to Ken about it. And Ken was like, hey, Kira, can you print off that email from Colleen? I was like, what email from Colleen? What? She's like, the email from Colleen. I was like, who did it go to? Probably Eoin. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go look for that. Oh, right, we're supposed to check Owen's email. So I found it. I was like, oh no, she had invited us to this meeting and we all missed it. So I sent her an email like, sorry that we forgot to check Owen's email, so we didn't come to the meeting, but thank you for sending us the notes, because Colleen was great enough to send us the meeting minutes so that we could know what the meeting was about.
Well, what would have been great and would have been funny, but not really for me, is if you had written back in my email as me saying, I don't like your meetings. They're not as exciting as hockey. I don't go to them, let alone special meetings.
And they would have believed it was you too.
Yeah, they've gotten to know me and how crusty I am. So yeah, they wouldn't have it wouldn't have flinched. It was like, yeah, oh, that Eoin.
Yeah, classic Eoin.
But again, we got the story and we're very excited about that. The CN property and some housing there is something we've talked about for so long, and everyone is so excited about it. And it's good to see. There's 4 different individual companies that are actually involved with that. Some of them, an individual out of Brandon bought 1 lot. Curve Construction at a regular scheduled meeting bought a lot. Square One Home Construction, based here in Neepawa, bought 6 lots. And the big purchaser, Madison Place, conglomerate of local investors, they ended up buying 24 lots. I think it was 24 lots.
32, according to your story.
Oh, 32, yes, yeah. 32 of those lots, so they got some big plans moving forward.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting though, because as far as I know, that land is all serviced now with like sewage and electricity and that kind of a thing. So things can start happening like right away. So we might see buildings start like this spring even. It'll be pretty exciting to see.
By the spring, by the thaw, yeah, that would be very exciting. And looking forward to being able to sort of cover that in the year to come. All right, let's talk another sale of interest, another piece of property that everyone's kind of intrigued about. Casper Wehrhahn covered that story for us. It's on page 2 of the Banner Press. St. James Church.
Yep.
You've done that story as well in the past, had you not, Kira?
Yeah, I did kind of, when they first put it up for sale, and they had the Anglican Church, which was at St. James, had kind of combined with the United Church. So I was curious what was going to happen with the building. So I talked to, what is his name?
Jonathan,
McCharles,
Reggie,
McCharles, Chad McCharles, that's
Yep.
his name, the Reverend there.
Yep.
And he told me all about kind of what they were doing with the stuff that was in there. They were moving some of it over, and then they were going to be selling the building, and they were hoping that it would sell to another church or somebody that would at least keep up the historic aspect of the building. So it's actually really good news to see, and I'm really glad Casper was able to get this story, that it is selling to another church group. So it will be still used as a church. So we can expect that it'll still be its beautiful churchy self
Yep.
driving by. And but yeah, there will be the Church of Christ, or Iglesia ni Cristo. I apologize for the terrible butchering of that. But it is a Filipino group that has been kind of meeting at out of a house at first, and then at Arts Forward, and then a couple other places. But now they're finally going to have their own church building, which is really cool.
That is fantastic. That is on page 2. This is a little lower on the list, but it's on page 2 as well, so we'll just get it out of the way. A short story I wrote up about the demolition of Neepawa's old fire hall. They've decided on the demolition company that's going to do it. They're based out of Portage La Prairie. They've agreed to the deal, so they're going to be starting to rip that thing down and knock it, and get rid of it very soon. So I'm not going to give away. It's a short story. It's a very short story. So if I were to give you one sentence of it, the story's essentially done. So but that's on page 2 as well. Hopefully you'll take about 12, 13 seconds to read that one too. Page 3, travel and entertainment. One of these days, travel and tourism will be a thing again. I'm optimistic about that. And some loudmouth went and did some sort of presentation at council, didn't they, Kira?
Somebody went and started like begging for money or something. I don't know. Some person just, I think that we need to get $10,000 a year for 3 years because I'm important.
Who does he think he is?
I don't know. Whoever it was.
What was his name? Eoin Devereux.
Devereux, maybe?
Sounds like a troublemaker.
Yeah, one of those weirdos. I don't know.
Right. All right, I pass this one over to you because, if you haven't picked up yet, conflict of interest as the tourism chair. So I had Kira write one of those exciting council stories for me.
Actually, 2 exciting council stories, so thanks. But
it was either that or hockey.
Well, except it wasn't, because there's no hockey right now. But yeah, I got to. Luckily, I didn't have to listen to his voice the whole time because he sent me the notes, which was basically his script. So I knew exactly everything that he said in the council meeting. So, dodged a bullet there.
What are you talking about? I have a soothing, almost melodic voice. La.
Beautiful. Oh.
I'm like an angel.
Like an angel. Okay.
But yeah, it's tourism had a 3-year commitment from the town to support some of its endeavors, and we're coming to the end of that, and essentially asked for a little bit more support because we feel like we really are on to something here. A lot of the work we've done over the last 3 years has been out of town, brochures, things like that in Winnipeg, Brandon, Dauphin, Bismarck, all over. So this year we're planning on doing a lot of stuff in town. You're going to see color the Neepawa tourism colors everywhere. So, but anything, your story, anything else you want to pipe in with?
I mean, you talked about the back 40, which is really exciting, and there's going to be obviously more ramping up of that. And yeah, the signage it's going to look really cool, I think. I was watching the video of council, and Marilyn Crew, who is on the tourism board, also brought out one of the big banners, and those are going to be going up this spring, which is really cool. So we will start seeing things very soon. I mean, obviously we've started seeing a little bit at the corner of Mountain and Main, where there's those two new signs where it used to be the business district signs or whatever they used to say, that those have the tourism logo on it. So now we'll start seeing those kind of everywhere, and we will kind of be reminded of all the great stuff that we do have in town, because sometimes when you live here you kind of forget, and when there's going to be those signs, the wayfinding signs, and these banners that highlight them in pictures and in color, it's all going to be such a reminder of, oh yeah, we have that, oh I should go check that out, right? So it's going to be cool.
And again, one other thing that I forgot to mention during my presentation is, obviously with the situation with COVID, travel is still restricted. So we're focusing on different forms of tourism. People from Dauphin, people from Brandon, people from Selkirk, more like inner province, because we can travel within the province. If I want to go to Morden Winkler, I can do that right now. So we're going to try and do that. Still bring fresh faces in and fresh tourism dollars in, but sort of keep it within the province. And hopefully that does work out. You also had a couple other things on council.
Yep.
So just give us some bullet points on some of the other interesting notes that came out of the meeting.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I spent a little more time on this than I thought I would. I kind of pushed it to like the end of the time that I had to actually be working on stories before I had to put this paper
Spent more
together.
time on it than I do usually when I'm writing these stories. I've gotten so jaded, like they did this, this is what they said. But no, you went in depth.
Well, there was a couple things that I found surprisingly interesting. One of the things, the one that I kind of highlighted in the headline and in the first few paragraphs, was a project that the town of Neepawa and a few other municipalities are working on with Evergreen Environmental Technologies, which is the company that we take all of our garbage to.
Yep.
But it's called the Zero Waste Project, is what I heard Blake refer to it as. And basically it's a gasification project, which means that they're going to take all of the solid waste that they collect from town garbage collection and whatnot, and they're going to apply heat and pressure and all the sciencey stuff to create gases, and they will be clean gases that will provide clean fuel sources. So basically it minimizes landfill waste, it minimizes, I don't know, other stuff, I guess. Like obviously the gases that'll be used for energy, I'm guessing some of them will be used to power Evergreen and what they do and that kind of a thing.
What's interesting is a similar type project, and I remember covering this when I was on the radio in Brandon. The Brandon waste disposal site has something similar, but if I remember correctly, not to the same scope or size that this project could be. But it's very successful. It's worked well in Brandon. It was sort of one of the first ones in Canada, and they were trying to tweak it a little bit, but it works very well, and hopefully it'll work here.
Yeah. The cool thing is, as soon as I hear the word prototype, I think, oh, cool, new invention. So Colleen, the CAO, had said that they have been approved for a prototype at Evergreen. So that was kind of what perked my ears up about this story, is that, oh, it's getting closer. They are going to be implementing an actual piece of machinery or system or whatever it is very soon. So that's pretty cool. That was kind of the highlight of that. There's also a few notes on the progress of Park Lake Dam. Obviously, it was damaged during the flood last Canada Day, and they are still working on trying to get that fixed up and looking at the options of whether they will turn it back into a lake, what kind of a lake they might turn it into, what kind of system they might have there. And some other random things. One really good news piece that came out was there was a donation to the High Life Back 40 Trail, and which is the multi-use trail park north of the town. And there was $1,000 donated so that they will be able to purchase 800 different trees and seedlings and saplings and that kind of a thing from High Life's Employee of the Year. So that was really cool too.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you can see that on page A7 of this week's edition. We only got a few minutes left, and there's so much still to cover, so we're going to have to sort of skip through a few things. And strangely enough, all the things we're skipping through are all the things Kira wrote this week.
Of course.
Because I do want to get to one thing very, very much at the end. On that same page, the Carberry and Area Community Foundation giveaway for their 25th anniversary. Very wonderful to see something like that going on. That's a Kira story. The locals honored for their community contributions. I really wish we could get in depth on this, but
I talk too much, sorry.
yep, you got an entire page of it on A9, and actually Gladwin Scott touches base on a few of the Carberry recipients as well. So you get a double dose on that. As well, Kira talks about World Prayer Day. God, you did everything this week.
I mean, you
Kira.
were gone, so somebody had to pick up the slack.
Strange thing is, though, you had 2 days head start on me, but I still wrote almost as much as you did.
Yeah.
But it was about that boring sports stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say, your stories weren't as long as mine, so I got more words in.
I get to the point, you know. Again, Ken Pearson, that's one of my stories. He talks about this unusual off-season for hockey, and you'll be able to watch the full interview right here on NAC TV. It's going to be happening on March 1st, March 3rd, and March 5th. You're going to have to pick up a copy of the paper to see the schedule for that. Definitely, it's a half hour. It's a quick watch, and it's very interesting to see some of the things that go on behind the scenes even after the season is done. Now, I did skip through all those stories because I did want to give a shout out to one individual. I did this story, Brant Young of Neepawa, 18-year-old, who played this season with the Manitoba Junior Hockey League's Winnipeg Freeze. The season, as you know, was cut short, disappointingly for all the players involved. Brant is getting a second chance right now. He has just signed a letter of intent with the Winnipeg Ice of the Western Hockey League, Major Junior. You're familiar with it if you're a Wheat Kings fan. That's that level of hockey. So Brant will be joining the Winnipeg Ice in the hockey bubble that is set to go March 12th in Regina. The Eastern Division teams, the 5 teams from Saskatchewan, and the 2 teams from Manitoba, the Wheat Kings and the Ice, will be in a bubble similar to the NHL. They'll be playing, I believe, 24 games, a regular season, and then a playoff. Each of the divisions, the BC division, the Central, which is mainly Alberta, and the US division are all doing something similar. East is the only one doing a bubble, and Brant's going to get an opportunity. I wanted to spotlight him, congratulate him and the Young family. All that time and effort, hard work, dedication, paying off. Very much looking forward to hopefully talking about his exploits on the ice in the weeks and months ahead. So that's pretty much about it for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner Press. That special 2-section, big 28 pages, so should keep you busy. Kira, as usual, thank you very much for taking a little bit of time. I'm sorry we weren't able to get to every one of your stories.
I take it as a personal attack.
Yeah. You're done. You can't work under these conditions. But thank you for that. And thank you for taking a little bit of your time to sit down with us and to listen to some of the work we do here at the Banner and Press. Now, if you have any ideas or suggestions, if you want to send a letter to the editor, if you want to send a thumbs up or thumbs down, you can do so by contacting us either at 476-3401 or at news@neepawabanner.com. Sometimes other people check that. Yeah. But if you want to get it to Kira, pages@neepawabanner.com. She checks that one every day. I know that for sure.
Yeah, and a lot less comes in, so it's a lot less likely to be buried.
Yeah. So either pages@neepawabanner.com or news@neepawabanner.com. A community newspaper is only as strong as the community that supports it. We want to stay doing this job. Even though council is boring from time to time, it's not heavy lifting. So I want to keep doing this job. You know, Kira, she appears to work, or makes it look like she's working.
That's my specialty.
Yep. I'm sure she enjoys getting paid because, none of us do this for free.
No.
But we appreciate the support, and we hope you will continue to support us in the weeks and months ahead, both on the pages of the Banner and Press and right here on NAC TV. So For Kira, I am Owen Devereux. Thank you and have a good week.